Why was Bob Dylan giggling through a Simon Garfunkel show? And did Dylan pretend not to know who Simon was? There may never be a bridge over these troubled waters. Paul Simon and Bob Dylan penned some of the most beloved songs of the 1960s and 1970s, and both musicians continue to produce vital works to this day. These two songwriting luminaries didn't always get along, though. As Simon told Rolling Stone in 2011, "I usually come in second to Dylan, and I don't like coming in second." The feud began when Simon and Art Garfunkel sat on the stage of Gertie's Folk City in Manhattan's Greenwich Village in March 1964. It was a big show for Simon and Garfunkel, who were about to finish recording their debut album Wednesday morning, 3 a.m. for Columbia Records. With Simon playing guitar while he and Garfunkel sang together, a harsh nasal laugh cut through their close harmonies. It was impossible to miss, and Simon could see that the laugh came from Bob Dylan, who was sitting at the bar talking with the New York Times music critic Robert Shelton. It's worth noting that, at least according to Shelton, he and Dylan weren't laughing at Simon and Garfunkel's performance. Instead, he insists the pair were just in a giggly mood under the influence of alcohol. Regardless, the occurrence bothered Simon quite a bit. According to Paul Simon, The Life, Simon was angry not only because the men interrupted his show, but because he looked up to Dylan as a songwriter. Reportedly, Simon had loved Dylan's music since hearing his first album in 1962. He and Garfunkel even included one of Dylan's songs, The Times They Are A-Changin', on their debut album. This would prove the first stone thrown in a decades-long rivalry that wouldn't end until the turn of the 21st century. Bob Dylan and Paul Simon had first met not long before that fateful concert, when Carla Ruotolo, the sister to Dylan's girlfriend, Susie Ruotolo, had introduced them. According to Bob Dylan, Outlaw Blues, the meeting didn't go well. Both men were awkward and didn't say much to one another. Naturally, the incident at the concert made things worse. In the aftermath of the concert, Simon got back at his rival, or at least that's how it came across to many. Simon released his first solo record, the Paul Simon Songbook, in the United Kingdom in 1965. The record featured a track called A Simple Desultory Philippic, or How I Was Lyndon Johnson in a Submission, which seemed to parody Dylan's music and lyrics.
You guys are idiots. This song is very deep.
A version of the song would later appear on Simon and Garfunkel's third album, Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. Despite those tensions, Simon respected Dylan, especially early on. He told Rolling Stone, "In the very, very beginning, when we were first signed to Columbia, I really admired Dylan's work. The Sound of Silence wouldn't have been written if it weren't for Dylan. But I left that feeling around The Graduate and Mrs. Robinson. They weren't folky anymore." Despite his admiration, Paul Simon made fun of Bob Dylan for going electric and helping to kick off the folk rock explosion. According to Homeward Bound, The Life of Paul Simon, he even did a brief Dylan impression on stage. Dylan, for his part, responded by pretending not to know who Simon even was. In May 1966, he told New Musical Express he'd never heard of him. Over the years, though, Dylan and Simon began to admit a grudging respect for one another. In a 1984 radio interview, Dylan admitted, "Paul Simon's written some good songs. I think America is a good song. I think The Boxer is a good song. I think Bridge Over Troubled Water is a good song. I mean, he's written a lot of bad songs too, but everybody's done that." In 1999, the pair went on tour together, though it got some mixed reviews. Rolling Stone even critiqued the pair's joint set, calling it half historic, half train wreck. Regardless, the two iconic musicians seem to have buried the hatchet. That said, Simon did reach out to Dylan for a duet on Simon's 2011 solo composition, So Beautiful or So What. In particular, Simon said Dylan's older voice would fit perfectly on one of the track's verses. However, as Simon told Uncut that year, Dylan never responded to him about the collaboration, and to this day, Simon doesn't know why. So after everything, there may still be some bad blood between the two songwriters.